Hi. So the following podcast is with Danny Riday. He's a tattoo artist. I would just consider him one of the best artists I've ever met. Possibly one of the best in the world right now, specifically at what he does, but also just in general, a solid artist. He did this tattoo for me. It's a memorial for Strider, my late dog that died in November. This is all hand poked with a metal pick, some of it with deer antler, and then another bit of it done with stone tools. You can see that here. This podcast was filmed while he was tattooing me. The whole thing, it's about 3 hours, 2 hours into it. The camera died and we only have a little bit of the audio left. So at the end of this, I'm just gonna roll the footage of the tattoo getting finished and all of that. But the whole podcast really is worth listening to because it's how Danny got into tattooing, the tattooing that he does. He lives in France, right outside a lot of the French caves where a lot of cave art is. So he gets a lot of his inspiration from that. Goes to the caves, hangs out there, hikes around this area, looks at the flint, looks at the tools around there, and gets an idea for how to tattoo better. I'm telling you, this guy is an artist. This is an excellent podcast. At the end, when the video cuts out, I will put in the parts that are taken with my phone from other people around the room who are taking the video of him doing the poking with the bone and the poking with the stone and rubbing the ink in, the parts you really want to see. So that will be at the end as Danny answers the final question, what does it mean to be human? If you watched the podcast before, you're used to me asking that question. You'll hear another voice in there. That's Connor Johnin. He used to do a Life in Ruins podcast with me and Carlton Gover. You'll also hear Aaron Deter-Wolf, who is the author of Ancient Ink, along with Lars Kurtak, which is a book about tattoo anthropology and tattooing and just, ethno-tattooology, whatever you want to call it. I'm the dog archaeologist guy. Aaron is the tattoo archaeology guy. That's what he specializes in, and he's the best. He's a genius. He's the foremost scholar of tattoo archaeology in the world. And he lives in Nashville, so do I. Danny lives in New Zealand and then moved to France. I figured I'd never get a tattoo with him. We've been friends on Instagram for years. But then he was like, hey, I'm going to be in Nashville with Aaron. Do you want a tattoo? And I said, absolutely. Connor booked a flight, flew down too, got himself a tattoo of a Lesko horse. I got this memorial to Strider. So please enjoy this full interview with Danny Riday, one of the best artists in the world and the best at doing this kind of tattoo style. He is an anthropologist, I would say, unofficially. I would give him that crown, give him that title. I would also say he's an artist, and I would say he is a modern-day shaman, if you want to go with that word. He is a very cool guy, and this was one of the best experiences of my life so far. It was super cool. So I just want to share that with you guys. So thank you. One other caveat, we're in a gazebo kind of thing that has like plastic tarp over it for insulation. There's 2 propane heaters going on. There's also wind and rain at some parts. So the sound isn't ideal. Also, the tapping of the tattoo is pretty loud into the microphone, but I did the best I could with the audio. Please bear with it. We're both sharing the mic. You can hear it just fine. But if it's not the perfect audio for you, apologies for that. But anyway, thank you for watching. Pro. I always thought that was pretentious to do. And then when you go to sync up the video and the audio and you can't find where the lips go.
Oh, yeah.
That
Interesting.
really helps.
Yep, you could... Comfortable?
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, you just want to introduce yourself and go from there. I can go from there.
Sure. I'm Daniel Riday. I'm a Totemic Tattoo on Instagram. I am a strictly hand poke and pre-electric, non-machine tattoo artist. I currently work in France at a studio I only open in the summer called Ancestral Arts.
Okay.
In the land of painted caves.
And you were in New Zealand for a long time, right?
I was in New Zealand the last 6.5 years, where we had a nice life going. But my wife being French, we wanted to move closer to where we have family, and the life we've built this past most of a year has been really wonderful. Only to get better.
Yeah, that's good, man. And in New Zealand, did you learn this kind of stick and poke stuff there, or did you learn it elsewhere?
I taught myself while I was there. Yeah. Okay.
And did you learn from Maori artists and stuff there too?
I have a lot of friends in the Tomoko Maori artist community. Okay. People who are doing Maori tattoo art. But stick and poke is not common in their practices. A lot of Kiwis get it when they're 13 in the back of the classroom with the India ink and the compass needle. And it's really misunderstood in New Zealand because everybody associates it with the mistakes they made at 13.
Oh.
And so it's hard to kind of gain a foothold taking it seriously in New Zealand. But in France, having a niche and now having enough people who are archaeologists who follow me. The style I do suits the way I tattoo, and they've evolved together, so it works out now very well. Cool. I'm gonna start.
Yeah, go
good.
It. How's it gonna? I'll see how it feels first, and then I'll start talking. Oh, that's nothing.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
But it looks hardcore though, so for the people watching,
this will up my credit. There we go.
Edit out the part where you made it sound easy.
Oh yeah, dude, this hurts so much. No. Okay, so you were in. Let me just think back. I'll start from where I'm comfortable talking. Mm-hmm. I met you on Instagram like years ago. I don't remember how you found me or I found you.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but either way, yeah, you like have been doing this kind of stuff for how long now?
I've been tattooing, not just hand poking and not just paleo style stuff, but tattooing under a mentor I did 2 years of an apprenticeship in Holland when I used to live in Belgium. And then altogether with those 2 years, it's been probably 10 in my tattooing career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what got you into like tattooing and stuff?
Oh,
it's probably a loaded question.
It's a long. I think it's many small things over the years. I think a moment where I first saw hand poking taking place, I was at a Viking festival in Norway, and I saw in a tent somebody hand poking Sleipnir Odin's 8-legged horse, dressed as, the artist was dressed as a Viking. The tent was covered in reindeer furs all over the floor. The woman he was tattooing was asleep. The process was gentle and beautiful and so cool. I didn't know tattooing could be like that before. Mm-hmm. And once I got that image in my head, it was really hard to shake. So I ended up finding a really great teacher and got really lucky with how the apprenticeship all shaped out.
Right.
And then switched to hand poking after a few years when I had the client base that could support a shift in style.
So I guess 2 questions there. Were you interested in like cultures and all that stuff before tattooing?
Interested in cultures?
Like you seem to have traveled all over and are pretty worldly. Like, was that always your vibe?
Yeah, I've been backpacking a lot since I was 18. I've been a few trips through Asia and a few trips through Central America, and just to meet people and to see the world we live in, the rarest of all ages, the age of uninhibited international travel, which is such a miraculous thing that I find so few people take advantage of.
Yeah.
I tried to make hay while the sun shines and see it while I was young, and it gave me a lot. I got a great start in the traditional international tattooing community because my mentor took me along to volunteer for a indigenous and traditional tattoo gathering that happened in Mallorca, where I got to spend 2 weeks, volunteering for and helping out a lot of the indigenous practitioners who were like helping to revive their cultural styles. Mm-hmm. And I got to meet them and help them with whatever they needed. I worked my ass off at that event, and then I worked my ass off volunteering for the follow-up event with a lot of the same people in Tahiti a couple of years after, and made friends with a lot of really just influential, incredible artists. So I was lucky enough to have like a really cool start.
Yeah.
And I've been really grateful for it.
Cool. And that was in Tahiti, you did that?
Yeah, one was in Mallorca in Spain, and then the second one was in Moorea. This is the smaller island off the coast of Tahiti.
Okay. And I guess before that, were you into tattooing and art before you started doing that?
Yeah, the first one I was... sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. I was just trying to figure out
if
art led you to tattooing, or if like the cultural and exploring led you to tattooing?
I suppose probably both.
Okay.
Art was encouraged in my family. My grandmother and her 3 sisters were artists. They owned an art studio, an art gallery. And I always grew up drawing, but never knew what to do with it until tattooing came into my life.
Right. Cool. Okay. And then an apprenticeship, how does that work in tattooing? Sorry,
man, that question's changing the answer is changing all the time. Like everyone will have a different answer to that question. But so mine, I was already in my late 20s. I was already starting a family. Had been drawing for, my whole life. Mm-hmm. And I was serious and my teacher could sense it. And I think that he didn't want to waste my time making me wash his car or do some stupid menial tasks to degrade me.
Right.
Just because he could have, but chose not to.
No fence painting or... Yeah.
No, I didn't have demeaning chores and things like that, which I would have done. You know, I offered sometimes to scrub the toilet. I did do a lot of the cleaning when he was perfectly willing to do it, just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And his what was the question? Sorry.
Like, how does tattoo apprenticeship work?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It depends how much you put into it. That's the basic, right? Like anything else, you get out of it what you put into it. But I was lucky enough to have somebody who didn't waste my time to be my teacher, and he took. I think it was cut a little shorter than it otherwise would have been, because I was supposed to stay a bit longer in his shop and work there, make money for him as well. But we had been living in Brussels already for 4.5 years, and the city was just slowly grinding me down and killing me. We weren't going to move to Holland, where his studio was. We were moving to New Zealand, and I couldn't continue to be an apprentice, and I couldn't kind of. We ended up just leaving. So I guess it probably got cut a little shorter than it would have been, but I gained a lot through that. And so apprenticeships can be as long or short as the teacher, mentor, slave driver determine it to be, how much they want to just train the person up fast so that somebody makes money for them in their shop and they don't care the quality. I trained one apprentice for a hand poke apprenticeship, and for the first few weeks, I would give out homework assignments like write me an essay on cultural appropriation and do research on why things are this way but perceived this way, things like that. It was fun to think up these little assignments that
you had your student do that?
I had my student do that.
That's cool.
But my teacher was already explaining these kinds of things to me, but
yeah,
they didn't take the form of homework assignments per se.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I could see apprenticeship in that sense being either very benevolent and easy, or they could treat you like a slave driver. So
in the past, it was tradition to be treated very poorly as an apprentice, and a lot of old school artists think it's the duty of the industry to keep treating people badly, because that's
how they were treated.
That's how they were treated, and I like tradition in the tattoo industry because we're an old industry. We're a pirate industry. There are tattoo schools now, but a lot of old school artists won't accept people who have a degree in tattooing, like a paper certification that says I'm a tattoo artist now, because of how old fashioned the industry is. I like some old fashioned aspects, but treating apprentices like slaves was a kind of stupid one.
Yeah. Treating anyone like slaves is usually not. Cool, man. So, trying to picture the timeline here. So you were in Majorca and then Tahiti, and then you ended up in New Zealand.
Yep.
And then now you're in France, outside the caves, right?
Yeah. So in the Dordogne region, Lascaux, Chauvet is not, Rovignac, the La Madeleine site, Font-Gaume, Combrel, Bernifal, pretty much all of the caves that you've seen art from besides Cosquer and Chauvet, and Altamira are in my neighborhood, and I could be there at the mouth of the cave from my house in 30 minutes, or 30 minutes for the furthest one and 5 minutes for the closest one.
So all those French caves are right next to
They're
each
right
other?
there, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Just the environment?
The area itself, the geology of the area was under the shallow sea some millions of years ago, and then all of the calcium and the limestone made really ample flint. And then as the sea receded, the cliffs that we have now were the sea coast, and they were eroded out by waves, and then the sea receded, leaving only rock shelters, perfect rock shelters everywhere, overlooking a pristine valley with a river at the bottom that would have been full of salmon. Flint was everywhere. You could have shelter that didn't cost you any effort, be out of the elements. It's full of caves. If you were going to settle anywhere, this place would require the least effort and give you the most benefit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a whole science right there. Awesome. Cool. Like, what do you? I've never been to that area, but do you get to explore them? And we were talking earlier about is it Lascaux 2, the fake one?
There are a few Lascaux iterations now, I think. Lascaux 4 is the newest fancy one in our area. That's just up the river. It's a high quality, well financed museum.
Yeah.
That's absolutely worth visiting. And it's not the real cave, but it is. The real cave has to be protected against humidity, and they had too many visitors in the 1950s that the breath alone from so many people entering the cave was damaging the art, so they had to close it, which is true of most of the caves, but not all of them. When you go visit the Lascaux 2 or Lascaux 4 museum, they're worth seeing. It's incredible, the recreation they've made. You forget that it's not the real cave. It's the same for Chauvet and the same for Cosquer in different parts of France.
Which one's Costco?
Cosquer, Cosquer. It's the one where this entrance to it was submerged under the Mediterranean, discovered by a scuba diver.
Whoa.
Yeah, right.
That's cool.
And then swam up the channels and underground caves till he surfaced, and there was air and rock art.
That's
insane,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
cool.
So I guess at the Ice Age
It was at sea level. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a sea coast cave.
Wow. Cool.
But some of the caves in our area, you can go to real ones. Font-Gaume and Rouffignac and Combrel and Bernefal are all caves you can actually see. And they're going to open up, I'm pretty sure, I don't know for certain, but the rumor is they're going to open up the Cave of the Sorcerer, which is also in that area, and the Cro-Magnon rock shelter, which is in town about 200 meters from my studio.
The Sorcerer one's the guy like prancing with the antlers.
The source for the guy prancing with antlers, maybe, but the Cro-Magnon rock shelter is where the species name comes from. Cro-Magnon species name.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did you move there to like get inspiration from the caves and stuff? And I know your wife's French, you said.
Yeah. I was getting inspiration from the caves through Google, for years. And, if I had stayed in New Zealand, that would have needed to be enough. I was lucky enough to continue to travel. And as I traveled, I was able to visit that place. So my wife is French, but neither she or I had ever been to that area before. We visited as tourists and did some sightseeing a year or two ago. Not this summer, but the previous summer. After a single day of sightseeing, I asked her if she'd like to sell our house and worldly possessions in New Zealand and move to that part of the world instead. And 9 months later, then we were living there. And soon we will be buying a house and really putting our roots down. The caves themselves are all I think about all the time anyway.
Yeah, I would too.
My hobby when I'm not actually working is just walking around in the woods, checking under bushes at the edges of the rocks and the edges of the cliffs to hope I can find a new cave. Because a new one was found.
I get so jealous. You're just like,
well, you can come do it with me. It's not an exclusive club. If you come hang out with me, we will go do that.
Fair enough. I'll come check it out.
Yeah. A new one was discovered recently. I think it's maybe the world's or at least France's newest cave that has ornamentation. It was found a couple of years ago. Lascaux was found when a tree fell over in a windstorm, and the roots had been blocking the entrance to the cave and had been hermetically sealed with dirt and earth and roots. And then the tree fell over, and a teenager noticed it when his dog went missing. And
oh right, I heard the dog's name was Robot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was the 40s, and that's a world treasure. The Chauvet cave was found, I think, in Cosquer and Chauvet were found in the 90s. There must be 100 we haven't found yet.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna find the next one. It's gonna be under a bush somewhere, right where people have walked past it 1,000 times.
Hell yeah. I had heard that story, those two kids and they protected it from the war. Or
Something like that.
Yeah. And then there's another one too another way they found it was just the rock moved or something. It was the tree.
There's other ones too. Pechmer is the other cave that's further down in the next province of France, and it is exceptional. You can go see the real cave. It's the one that has the dotted horses.
Okay.
And it's breathtaking. Even if cave art is not your thing, the cave itself is just awe-inspiring.
Sweet. Nice. So I not that you have a favorite one, but like what's your...
It's hard. There's different art that speaks to you in one way from one cave, and the mastery of another might be surpassed by the sweetness of another too.
Yeah.
The one that made me cry when I saw it was Fond de Gomme. There are very few pictures of this on the internet because you can't take a two-dimensional picture of it. It's a horse that can only really be understood when you're standing in front of it, because it's leaping across a bend in the cave wall where the artist drew a line that makes the belly of the horse and a line that makes like the butt and kind of the mane. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the animal is only made by like the calcite drips that form one edge, and the calcite drips that form the other edge make the front sternum and front legs, the back of the butt and the back legs. But you can only see it when you pass a light across it.
Oh, wow.
Like that.
The torchlight?
Because the line doesn't do anything unless you catch it with a shadow from the calcite formations. And you can't see it all at once. So you can have a two-dimensional flash picture of that line, and you'll be like, well, that's a crappy horse. But the artist's mastery of light, shadow, depth, perception, perspective, mm-hmm. and like multimedia ingenious mastery is like, it was too much for me.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
That would overwhelm me.
Yep.
For sure. That's awesome.
But it's just two lines. It's the worst horse you've ever seen. It's like...
But that's a moving picture, kind of like with the torchlight.
It comes alive when you're standing in front of it. That's the beauty of it.
Do you think a lot of them were that way?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
they're all really carefully selected where they go.
Yeah.
All drawn without a reference in front of them. All drawn from memory. With a lot of them, like in Combrel, has the anatomy of the animals is exquisite. I've been drawing reindeer many times, but the person who drew the one in Combrel in the dark without a picture in front of them, who got all the joints in the legs the right way, mm-hmm. and all the size proportion and the liveliness of each animal. None of them are static. They're all seen in 2D. They're all simple, but none of them are lifeless. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah. That is really cool. Maybe I'm thinking of a different reindeer, but is it the one big red reindeer, or I guess caribou? It's like red, has white legs. Is that Fontegam?
Red and white legs. There is one that is the reconstruction image of it is really rich ochre, okay. And it's one Fontegam. Oh yeah, when you're standing looking at that horse I mentioned, your back is to the two sweet reindeer, and that's probably the one you mentioned. It's one of the sweeter images in cave art. And what it shows is a really gentle scene of one reindeer like nuzzling another one that's kneeling. Okay. We think of the people in that time as living hard and brutal or violent lives. And I think it's such a weird misunderstanding we have. Because I think there was a lot more gentleness then than we tend to see now, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's important because you're stuck in the cave. We were just talking about this on another video I did the other day, but the like how important thermoregulation is in the past with like the bone needle they found, and like how it shows, this tiny little artifact, but like these people are on the plains in Wyoming 10,000 years ago. It's negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God! And
you have to like sew all these bison hides together, or you'll just die. But he was saying, that researcher, that like because you're stuck in yurts and tents all the time together at that point, and like the people that left Africa into Europe and Asia, mm-hmm. you're kind of forced to socially get along, or at least have methods of dealing with internal strife when you're stuck in these warm thermoregulatory environments, he called it. So I would imagine in those big caves like that, where you're hunkered down for the winter, maybe like you're not arguing and yelling at each other all the time. You're probably in there making art, and like they clearly did, or maybe they did it in the summer. I don't know. But what would be your take?
I would not go into the caves in the winter because that's when the cave bears were hibernating in there.
Okay.
If you went cave bear hunting in the winter, I suppose you would go in there and do that. But it sounds dark, slippery, dangerous to go meet a large, violent animal in the dark. I would have gone in the summer to do it. I would have gone into a cave I had already explored thoroughly and then brought back my art equipment on the next foray. But what I love, okay, there's going to be people that will tell me that this is incorrect and why it's incorrect. But statistically, it can be supported a bit. In, let's just call it cave art as an umbrella term. Animal on animal violence is quite common. We see hunters, predator, prey, offense, defense, and things like that. Animal on human violence is also not uncommon. It's occurring, like the famous bird-headed man that's like dead or at least sideways, where he's been attacked by a bison that's been speared but isn't dead, and it's like come to attack him, and the man is dead. Okay. So we see human on animal violence, animal on animal violence, and animal on human violence. But human on human violence is like almost, besides a few, there's one called the speared man. That is a man that has lines in his body that, maybe they're spears. Extremely rare. Because I imagine that time as being a time where you didn't have things that your neighbors didn't have most of the time. And if you wanted something that they had, you had to, if you wanted to take it violently, risk the lives of your family members to like attack another group and steal what they had. Yeah. And if I had to risk the lives of my family members or just like weave my own fucking fishing net, I would just weave my own fishing net. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like they weren't different from us. They had the same mind that we do. Yeah. I can't imagine many circumstances until agriculture gives you something worth protecting. Right. And then you have
crops fail, you got to go feed everybody.
Or look, those guys have good crops.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, exactly. Cool. Right. So you think they were doing this stuff from memory? Or I've always wondered if maybe they had it etched on like a piece of hide or something, or maybe like just some reference when they went in there, but I guess there's no way to know. But
no, there wouldn't be, I guess.
You do this stuff from memory for sure. You're talking about photographic memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine in most cases they would do it from memory, but we're imagining a person who is like, we're living a life where you ask the average like adult anywhere in the world, hey, draw me a horse from memory. It's going to look like the horse they drew when they were 5 because they haven't drawn a horse since they were 5. Right. And it's going to be really crappy. Even among tattoo artists, one of my favorite things is if you meet a really cocky tattoo artist, just ask them to draw a horse from memory. It's really funny every time.
Stick legs on it. So, yeah.
Oh, they emphasize traits in one area and forget the ones in other areas. Plus, horses' legs bend in weird ways. Anyway, I think in that time, drawing from memory wasn't hard because you were drawing all the time on everything that you could touch or find. Yeah. If you were waiting until that horse herd or reindeer herd crossed the valley and were approaching the river ambush spot, then you had to spend 17 hours waiting for them to do that, and you just had nothing to do but sit downwind and watch horses for 17 hours. You'd be drawing them in the mud. If you had to move, you'd be like, oh, here's a driftwood log, I'm going to etch it on here with some charcoal. Right. You'd be drawing them everywhere. I think everything had art on it because people got bored and they had more time to be bored. Yeah. So by the time they were out in the caves, well prepared with art supplies, paintbrushes and lamps and things like that, we get a really good version. But we see on a lot of artifacts, like sketch versions, and I think even those, how many wooden artifacts had horses carved into them that we just will never find. Right. I just think of it as a extremely decorated time. It's not drab, not plain.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and those caves are just like, I had a thought in my head. It'll be here in a second. Mm-hmm. The caves, right? Yeah. So the bellies and the thoracic cavities of all of the animals I've noticed in cave, especially
Let's Go, the horse that
Yeah.
Connor just got done.
Yeah.
Like the midsections of the animals are always so accentuated.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if that's like where, because that's like the target where you shoot them, or like
There's like a lot of
something,
theories about it.
have their movement or something. So yeah, what would you think on that?
Well, we also, when you think of a horse now, you're thinking of a breed of horse that's been bred to have long legs. That's the horse we bred to be ridden, and they have what, twice as long legs as the Przewalski horses,
Right.
the native horses, the proto horses would have. Steppe animals were stockier. When you see like the rhinoceros in Groot-Hofignac, its legs are just little nubs. You just see feet because it would have had long fur covering. It looks like a big sausage with tiny feet and a horn out front, but that's kind of what you would have seen, I guess. And people might have just been emphasizing the part of the horse they wanted to see, which was the big meaty part. Because horses weren't being ridden; they were being eaten.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good point.
You don't want a horse with long, fast legs that can outpace you. You want like a chunky little, delicious horse.
And we're kind of used to seeing like knights or cowboys and like the faces of horses more as like their characteristic than their.
Yeah, you would have been seeing horses at a greater distance as well. The emphasis on the details of their face would be less of what you had been sketching for practice, because you'd been watching a herd of horses. You wouldn't be standing in front of a living horse, getting the character of its eyes right.
Yeah. Yeah, you would be up that close to it, I guess, unless it was dead.
Yep. There's one in Combrel where I'm pretty sure that there's a bear that's depicted that is an illustration of a dead bear, because of the way it's positioned, the way its feet are not stable on the ground. They're kind of like how feet would be if you laid a bear on its side. Its feet would kind of be like this. So they're debating if it's a bear curled up in a nest or a bear that has been killed. It's a pretty interesting one. I see it as a bear that has been killed, which would be another rare occurrence in cave art, to show death, really. Usually in the art, whether there's violence that is implied, it's not shown.
Yeah.
There'll be lionesses approaching a bison herd, and the bison looking at the lionesses in a standoff kind of situation, but you don't see death clearly depicted very often.
Right.
It's,
You just hit the red button again. It should start. That's fine. Just cut it. Good. Cool. Thanks. You guys are free to chime in too if you have any thoughts and stuff. But what was I thinking?
You didn't sit in class.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, this is stuff like I only know American Paleolithic stuff, so old world stuff is.
I'm only starting to learn, right? Like,
you're in the spot for it.
Yeah, it's getting easier now, especially because so many of my clients are archaeologists, and they're stuck with me like for several hours at a time, and I get to torture them for information.
Yeah,
I end up getting a lot of it. People talk when they're being tortured.
Passes the time for sure.
Yep.
I had a thought. Some of your legs were talking about the dead bear.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed there's like a lack of human imagery, especially in the really old caves.
Yeah.
What do you think that is? Like, was it a taboo to paint? And there's also a lack of wolves. I know there's one in Fontaine.
There is, yeah.
But,
There are a lack of predators, for sure. And they were rarely painting the animals they ate the most often.
okay.
Right? So Lascaux is mostly horses, deer, for Lascaux, bulls, aurochs, reindeer, megalosaurus, and horses. And few lions, and a few other things. But predators are strangely absent. I think people didn't want, if the animals they were painting represented important spirits, or they represented like the idea of a clan structure. We are the horse people, and later another group comes in, like we're the clan of the black bull. We paint black bulls over the horses that were previously here from the horse people that were anyway.
Right.
They were mostly eating salmon and reindeer, and when you count up how many salmon are painted, it's like none. and how many horses are painted, it's a lot. But you don't find evidence of horse butchery sites and things like that very often.
Right.
So it seems that people have written books and books and books about it, and I haven't read as much as I would like to yet. Predators scare game away. If the animals are sacred and they're important, you don't paint the things that kill them.
Yeah.
There's another cool one. Who was on? I think he was on Ruins. Guy talking about doing like echo tests in caves. Or maybe it was the Rock Art podcast. APN anyway.
That sounds.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And he's found that the concentrations of hooved animals in places like Lascaux is much stronger in areas that echo the most. Because if many people together clap their hands in that room, it sounds like animals running.
Interesting.
Things like that. There's many reasons why certain animals mightn't be in certain places, and I'm not going to write a book about why, because I don't know. But
Yeah.
I think people painted what stories they wanted to tell, and since we'll never meet those people, like, we can hypothesize a lot about the stories, but I mean, I'd rather just appreciate what the images are, because my brain is image focused.
Yeah. How does that manifest in like your art and stuff? Like,
Well,
we were talking about that earlier, but like I don't have images in my head, and I learned that recently, whereas other people do. So like, is it? What I'm trying to ask, I guess, is like, do you have an image in your head that you like struggle that you can't actually make that with your hands sometimes?
Yeah, that's a
Or
good question.
Are you able to express it very well? I assume through tattoo.
I remember that struggle as a kid more often. I probably adapted my art style to do what I was seeing in my head more. That makes sense, I guess. I think having a photographic brain helps. Oh, we did for you the hoof of the horse. Part of the stencil hadn't come on quite right, and when I was looking at it, it didn't match the image in my head of what the original wall art looked like. So I had to double check, and the image in my head was correct. The stencil hadn't been put on quite right, and part of it was missing. I had to draw it on.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is one of the few jobs where having that special mental disability is a superpower, because I've had other jobs where it wasn't.
Like how many images in your head?
Well, my head is only images,
Oh, I see.
right? It's very immediate. I don't track. I can't remember data or do most important adult stuff. But I have like a lasting catalog of animal anatomy, and I can identify plants and mushrooms well after looking at them once and things like that. It helps in some ways and doesn't help in others.
Yeah, I imagine it's more helpful than not.
Well, it depends what life you live.
That's true. I just remember in math class, like I didn't learn this until years ago, but like when they would have me like, do the times table in your head or carry the 2, and my teacher would be like yelling at me. She was like, "Just do it in your head," and I was like, "Okay." Like I had to write it down to do it.
It didn't help me in math class.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
But like other things. So the way I learned was like, it's called Aphantasia, and it's like if you close your eyes and picture an apple, is it like blurry or is it 4K, but you not see anything? And like when I do that, I don't see an apple. Like I have a concept of an apple, like red and round, but like I don't see anything.
Wow.
And like I went on Reddit and stuff, and there's like a whole bunch of other people that have this. But I always wondered then, like other stuff, and I remember I got in a big argument with my ex one time because she was like trying to cut that out. I was getting an argument with a friend one time who was like trying to explain their day to me, like climbing down this canyon to go catalog this rock art, and like I was fixated on like where they parked the Jeep because I couldn't picture what she was talking about, and I was like, "How'd you get down? Where'd you park up top?" And anyway, and I learned after that, it's like, oh, I can't picture stuff. So,
wow,
like,
interesting.
She's very visual based in her head and was trying to explain it that way, but I was more like, I need a sentence of each, location you were at for me to log that data in my head.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
I can't make my brain make sense of that because it's not a picture, but
yeah. Right. So I wonder, like, if all the cave art boom at that time, like 40,000 years ago onward, is like humans like were finally like, oh shit, I see stuff in my head, and like started painting it everywhere. Because it seems most people can picture stuff.
Yeah, I think as well. Art is not a survival necessity, as far as I know. You know, it could have been considered a survival necessity if appeasements to spirits needed to be made and things like that. But art comes when your life can support leisure time.
Yeah.
If you're good enough at surviving in the environment you're in, and you have free time, you're going to be doing secondary activities like making your shirt more, wind resistant when it would have been enough already, like making it better, sewing a detail into it, making a prettier salmon fishing spear than you did last year, or like a better atlatl than your grandfather had, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then extrapolate that a little bit longer, and you get, I'm gonna paint a better horse than that really shitty one on the rock that my cousin did.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna show him I can paint a better horse.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as that. People really want to put so many grand ideas behind the cave art, but it was made by people, and like people aren't always spirit masters and sorcerers and in mystery cults of the horse and things like that. Sometimes like you just want to one up your jackass cousin.
Yeah, for sure. Or like, yeah, if you're pissed at your dad or your mom, like, I'm gonna do it better.
I think in Kosker, in the submerged one, there's two. What are they? They must be aurochs or bison. I think they're bison. And one is a masterpiece. It's gorgeous. It almost has like relief with like texture, and the other is a derpy kind of stick figure one. They're kind of facing each other. It looks like maybe two siblings or something went in like, I'm gonna draw one here. Okay, I found a spot here. And then they come over afterwards. Oh, you asshole. Yours is glorious. You know? Why does yours have a derpy smile?
Huh. So, yeah, I guess what does art mean to you then?
Everything.
Yeah. I know it's a long question too. But...
How am I supposed to answer that? I don't know how to answer it. It's too big.
Some people would say it's expression, or it's yeah. I don't know. That is a big question.
I guess it's expression. It's like it's my communication tool for the world, I guess. It's how you can take images out of your head and make them real.
Right.
So that other people can see, the thoughts you can't summarize properly otherwise. Probably the same for me as it was for the people back then.
Because I guess a better way to frame it from where I'm coming from is like, I just posted, I hate saying this, but I posted a meme the other day about the oldest surviving like tablet they have of like cuneiform is somebody writing a complaint about a guy
letter
making shitty copper ingots, and he beat his slave. And they were like, the guy kept all of those tablets at he kept his Yelp reviews in his house, which is funny. But like writing was invented to catalog that and to catalog like, you owe me this much
how much
grain.
trade, yeah.
So like art seems to just appear, like art always exists. There's like the scratches at the cave in Africa, and there's like other little pieces, and then handprints and stuff. But it seems to really boom around 40,000 years ago. Yeah. So like I'm just like at that point.
Well, the clay tablets in cuneiform with a complaint letter and how dare you treat my slave with such ill regard and stuff like that. I read about that one recently too.
Yeah. Nasir, I think that's the guy's name.
Yeah, the name was in there too. But if writing was made in the necessity of categorizing amounts and substance and trade, I think art was probably flourished to help explain and categorize dreams and I don't know, inner messages, ethereal things rather than physical things, because physical things were all around everyone all the time. I caught enough fish, or I caught not enough fish, but that's not a dream. You don't need to record that. Like people around you in the 10s or 20s, your family group, your social environment knew how many fish you caught. It didn't need to be written down, right? They were all aware of how many fish were or were not caught.
Yeah, you were exchanging vast amounts with another group or something.
Yeah. It didn't need to be documented, but the things that were hard to communicate with words could be documented with pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think too.
Yeah.
It's just like they had ideas at the time and the materials to do it, and just. So I think the oldest carvings, the Vogelherd horse.
Yeah.
Someone just, it could have been a baby toy. Could have been someone just was stoked on horses.
I love not knowing. It's more fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
What I know you like not knowing. But follow up to that. What keeps you up at night, like thinking? What's something you would like an answer to?
Whoa, that's a really good question.
I
I need to know. I mean, like, if I had the choice to time travel back and check something out for myself, I would be how heavily tattooed the people were back then.
Yeah.
It's on my mind all the time. It's something I'd like to research more. I think probably the museum near my studio, behind my studio, has probably 40,000 like bones with etchings and figurative imagery and things like that. I want to see if they have more that have human figures, if those human figures have a theme of patterns of any kind that's never really been looked for before by somebody who has tattoos in mind, which is uncommon in the archaeology world, especially in France, where it hasn't been considered something that might be important for very long.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need to have Aaron come over and shoot some lasers at some old remains.
Yeah.
I know he wants to. The other thing is, like, Utsi, for example, right? He's okay. Everybody knows about Utsi.
Right.
If nobody knows who's listening, go like research Utsi on your own, because there's too much to. Yeah. It's the only surviving member of that cultural group or subgroup or whatever population he belonged to. He was the only one that ever became mummified. It's the only one we know of with evidence, and he had a lot of tattoos. What is it? 19 groupings, 61 or 63 tattoos. The number has changed recently. Now I can't remember. Is that a lot for his people? Was he very under tattooed compared to his kin?
Yeah.
We don't know. That's really interesting because the oldest European mummy we have has a lot of tattoos, and maybe that's not a lot compared to his, for his culture. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the women had more tattoos. Maybe, there's so many questions there that I'm not gonna have the answers to. But I would love to know if that was something I could do.
That's a really good question. Yeah,
we think of it as a lot.
A lot to us, yeah. In terms of some people just having two.
Yep.
But he was tatted up.
Yeah. Or was he? Maybe it wasn't a lot.
Yeah. Interesting. I just know since knowing Aaron and then you, it's like whenever I have people illustrate stuff for me for the videos, like add tattoos. They probably would have.
I think so.
And I did that bone needle video the other day too, and the guy said like there was a bone needle with an eye in it. So like he was like, there's no, questioning. This was definitely a sewing needle. But he's like, there's no questioning what bone needles were for. But like I wanted to add a caveat at the bottom being like, well, they could have been for tattooing. This one I'll see was for sewing because it had the eye in it. But like yeah, I don't know.
Being somebody who has needed to make eyed bone needles before, I know how hard it is to put that eye in that needle without breaking the needle, and I broke most of the ones I tried to make.
Yeah.
If I was making a tattooing tool, I probably wouldn't use an eyed needle. They're fragile. They're small. You could make an easier object to hold. You're fine like that. Okay. Eyed needles had great value for making the jacket you needed to survive. Right. You wouldn't risk breaking the eyed needle or needing to make an eyed needle to do most kinds of tattoos, with some exceptions.
Yeah. And what are you using on me right now?
These are standard industry quality pre-sterilized tattoo liner needles.
Okay. So these are
This
metal.
one is like a 7 or a 9. I don't pay attention to the number anymore. I just grab whatever looks about the right size.
Okay.
Because I'm a cowboy.
I trust you.
It's too late not to.
Did you because you've been using bone and stone and stuff recently too, and antler. Had you experimented with that before, or was that only until you met Aaron?
I think this first was right before Aaron and I really got in contact. Or maybe I asked him. I can't remember if we were in contact before my first one. The Columbus cave, the South African cave with the Columbus cave, yeah. How old is it? 72,000 years, something like that. 69,000
to 100 somewhere. In there.
It's old.
Yeah.
It's really old. Let's just say it's old.
Mhm.
That was my first foray, like properly done foray into trying out the utility of sharp rocks, incision tattooing, things like that. And I met it with mixed success. The rock I had was poor quality, not very sharp. I was being kind of a weenie about it because it's kind of scary. And I had mixed results with that. I'm trial and error on myself over the years, trial and error with long-term clients who were keen to be guinea pigs. Now it's been several years I've been making it a pretty solid part of my practice. I'm much more confident in what I can offer people and what I know is safe than I was when I first tried it myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I remember seeing you guys post like you were cutting up a pig, but cutting a pig skin with blades and then putting ink in it, right?
Was that you, Aaron? I think that was you. That was my leg, though. I mean,
was your leg
for the XR project was my leg, yeah.
Because I know you guys started working together, like doing that kind of like experimental stuff.
Oh, for that, yeah. I've never done any pig skin because pig skin will give you a false positive.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't go through a healing process unless you're tattooing like a poor live pig, which that would suck.
Good point. Maybe I'm
So
thinking of something
you're gonna
else.
put ink into dead pig skin. It will stay there until the skin rots, but
Yeah.
it won't potentially fall out. It won't scab. It won't. You can't pick at it. It will just give you a tattoo that you're looking for, but without a healing process, that would be a false positive on your research, I guess, on your test or whatever you're doing. It will just function correctly without the risk of changing in any way, which is why when we did our project, it had to be done in controlled settings on living human skin, and that was my skin.
Yeah.
Then I monitored it daily, then weekly, then monthly for half a year to see the healing process, how it changes, if anything changed at a microscopic level, things like that. We had a USB microscope camera, things like that.
Had people done studies on that yet?
Had they, Aaron?
Yeah.
Interesting. This podcast was sponsored by Archaeology Inc. It's Amazon link right here.
Ancient ink.
Ancient Ink. Is that
Well,
it? Archaeology Inc.'s the Instagram. Right. Ancient Ink. Right. Okay. I don't know if you'll pick up on the camera over there, but I know you guys linked up on Instagram and stuff, and like, what's been your favorite thing you guys have done? I guess it's for YouTube, but like, I'm trying to think of words here in English. What's the coolest thing you guys have learned together doing this?
you want to talk about last year?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was. Well, I mean, the experimental study Danny was just talking about is so
Really cool. It
because
was really
it
cool.
lays the groundwork for everything else. You know, like it gives us that data set that we can use to compare to real preserved tattoos from the archaeological record,
Yeah.
and actually then make conclusions about how people in the past were tattooed. But I think for the two of us, the first time we met together was standing outside this museum in Berlin, where we got a chance to go in and look at this huge collection of tattooed pre-Columbian Indian remains. And over like a 2 or 3, 5 day period.
4 days, I think we had.
We documented more ancient preserved tattoos than had been previously documented in the entire world combined, kind of thing.
Yeah.
and just blown away by like the artistry and this tattoo tradition that just neither of us had ever seen anything like this before. It's so rare to just be like completely taken out of left field by a completely new form of art. Like picture that, like you've never seen Japanese style tattooing before, and all of a sudden someone shows you the first Japanese style tattoo you've ever seen. It's gonna blow your mind.
Right.
And
it's
exactly
that level of
that
quality
sort of
too.
thing. Yes, it's that level of quality, and just this thing that's completely unusual to anything we've seen before. And it's just really, really cool stuff.
And what mummies were those, or what tattoos were those?
So these are tattoos on late intermediate period. So let's say probably about 1200 AD or so.
Okay.
From the Peruvian Central Coast, so mostly the area around Lima. And these are remains that were collected in the late 18th and early 19th, and even through the early 20th century by German citizens who were living in Peru, and then shipped back to Germany to be part of the museum collections, like the National Museum collections.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool.
It was like finding King Tut's tomb.
Yeah.
The overall mind-bending, the mastery of the work, and the quantity of intricate tattoos in great array of stylistic forms, and with clear understanding of anatomy and how, where to stop certain areas so that they don't clash with the body as it moves. That the understanding was exceptional. It's as a tattoo artist, it is the caliber of the work, and the it was also made by several different tools, we think.
Which we knew because of that XARC study.
Yes.
Because we went into this with that in our pocket, with that data. We're sitting there in the museum. We're like, oh, these are totally incised. Everything on this arm is incised, or half of the ones on this body part are incised and half of them are hand poked. And that's really interesting, right? So from the global perspective, it's really pretty rare for cultures to have more than one tattooing technique or technology. You find the thing that works and you kind of do it. And so using incision and poking tattooing is pretty unusual. And then to see the same, see those two techniques on the same body, well, that raises some really interesting questions, right? Like, is it two artists working on one person? Is this things that one person had done over the course of their life?
Or traveled to a different area at a different time where it's done the other way?
Collection, we found actually the first evidence of blastovers.
Yeah.
Ancient blastovers.
What's that?
So where the individual had tattoos on their arm, and then later on had gotten new tattoos that partially or entirely covered them over.
Okay.
Disregards the old one and just pushes like bulldozer.
Yeah.
The old one. And the little dot out of place, the world's oldest like mist mark in a tattoo.
Nice. Cool. Thank you. Continuing off that, then, if that's still recording, I should be able to get Aaron's voice over there.
I hope so. Yeah, you can sit behind me over here probably too.
Either way, what's the oldest tattooing evidence in the world? Is it still here?
Let's see. Even then, it's comparable with pre-dynastic Egypt.
Okay. But the bone or the needle you found in Tennessee. That's
It's there's some squiffy stuff with the radiocarbon dating on that.
Okay.
But it's probably like 1200 to 3200 BCE.
Okay.
So in its oldest range, comparable to, let's see. Now there's a team from Russia working in I think Siberia that has some stone tools that they think may be for tattooing that date back about 12,000.
Well, that's exciting.
That's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know about that.
What indicates that there would be tattooing versus butchery or something?
You swear, right? So if you think about if you take a stone tool and you use it to shallowly pierce your skin a couple hundred times, it's going to leave different micro wear patterns than if you take that same tool and stick it in deep and drag it across a body to butcher flesh. You're
Yeah.
gonna hit bones. You're gonna get nicks in it. You're gonna get that horizontal polish going across the tool edge. Whereas using it to puncture, you're gonna get a different kind of polish on it.
Gotcha. Okay. So 12,000 years old, huh? Where's that? Russia?
It's a site in Russia somewhere, and I do not remember exactly where.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
And surely they were. I'd imagine most people were probably tattooed if they figured out some way to do it.
It's not. There's not just one way to do it either. It's
You can stigmata, like all that.
yeah. The range of tools that can be used is wide, and the human desire to modify I mean, if we do things with our hair, we cut our hair, we pierce our ears, we wear clothing that gets attention. If you can look fancier, won't every human always kind of choose to do that?
Yeah, and your self-expression with it too. Or
Yeah.
Group
Group,
expression.
yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's not the most complicated thing to do if you have access to soot
Pointy rocks.
and pointy rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was most ink back then? So like in the caves where you're at, you think that was ash, soot, and ochre?
Are you talking about tattoo ink or painting ink?
I guess both. Yeah.
Well, for tattooing ink, it seems to follow, it seems to follow a theme of pretty much just being soot internationally, because that's what works the best.
For black ink.
For black ink, and black ink is what we see in the archaeological record the most. I have questions about red ink, because we hear about it in North America, and I'd be pretty interested to do some more experimental archaeology to figure out if red tattoos can be made with natural materials that last. If tattoos that last can be made with natural materials, but yeah, I might get into answering those questions hopefully with Aaron in the future, but I don't know yet.
Cool.
The ink in the caves is different. It's like manganese and ochre.
Manganese, is that a chemical?
Isn't it a naturally occurring element, I suppose?
Okay.
Yeah, mixed with animal fat, things like that.
Cool.
Very cool.
I'm mostly just remarkable, like amazed at how little this hurts
It's great, huh?
compared to other tattoos.
Yeah, but don't say that on the thing. You
Oh,
still look
right.
really hardcore right now.
This is so badass, dude. I'm so cool.
You're still really cool.
I guess I could do this in jokingly or not, but like why does this hurt less than a machine ink?
Well, the ink is the same. It's still the same.
Or I meant
Right,
it's
yeah, machine.
Yeah.
Because I did machine tattooing before I did this for a long time. I think the needle is the same needle, the ink is the same ink, the skin depth is the same, but the level of relaxation is not. You know that if I have to draw a long line with a machine, you have to wait until I start and stop that line. And no matter how much it hurts, you brace against that pain. And then once I finish that line, you can catch your breath.
Yeah.
And the amount of energy it takes to tense up for 4 seconds and release. And tense up for the next bit. It takes a lot of energy. And if you can't relax through that, and you do burn out your energy just tensing up your muscles, you find yourself exhausted after the first half hour, and then it gets hard. When your adrenaline crashes and you have no more physical energy because tensing up all your muscles at once and holding your breath is hard.
Right.
Then you crash, and then you feel it double because you've got nothing left to protect you, kind of, no more reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And here, the pain is so, it's not unpainful, but it's very steady. You're not bracing against anything. You're not using any energy to resist.
Right.
And a lot of it comes down to, people call it pain tolerance, but I think it's like trust and confidence. If you feel safe and comfortable, you will relax. Relaxing is what makes it easier. If you don't feel safe and comfortable, then it will be a harder experience no matter what.
Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, the picking it up every time you poke it too is like, it isn't dragging a big long thick 4-needled one, filling it with black ink on it, like this guy was.
There are machine artists who are more gentle than I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like dots to fill this thing, and it'll be a little more painful than this. But I think there are some machine artists who are more gentle tattooers, even with machines, than I am with hand poke. So it's not one or the other, hard
I
or
guess that's
hard or
fair.
soft.
I've had a guy just like go at it, and another guy just be very gentle. So. Yeah. So I guess was it your book, Aaron, where you talk about this, but like it being like a meditative or like there's a spiritual aspect to it, or the cycle. Was that your book? I can't remember.
Probably.
Or you and I talked about it, but
Yeah.
I could see this being like a spiritual process and stuff back in the day, because it's like kind of painful but not painful at the same time. I don't know.
Well, it's right. I mean, and if you look at the cross-cultural stuff, historically and in indigenous cultures, it's almost always connected to animist faiths, and, there's danger in the letting of blood. If you think back to the times before Western modern medicine, right? I mean, you are breaching your skin any number of thousands of times here, and every one of those times is something that could be dangerous, that could be the one that kills you.
Yeah.
And so, there's connections there with the person that's doing the tattooing. Cross-culturally, those people are often shaman or healers, or, old women that are, have studied child rearing and things like this. And, they know how to treat wounds. They know how to address those things. And then there's social taboos that go along with it to prevent infection. And then there's all, these loaded meanings to it. It's marking you as being an adult, or it's associated with things you've accomplished, specific accomplishments that you've made on the field of battle, or craft practices, or things like that.
Yeah.
Danny and I were talking earlier today about the soundscapes of tattooing, and how the idea of like hand tapping, particularly, you get that kind of rhythmic tapping to it.
Yeah.
Or here in North America, the Native American tools. Their hand poking tools, they would oftentimes put like rattlesnake tails or bells.
How
on
cool,
them.
right?
And
That's
so they would
cool.
shake.
Yeah.
And there's some descriptions from the 19th century then of
Okay, put
groups
your
of
arm more
people
across
who
your
were
chest.
attending the tattooing. They would do chants in time with the shaking of the bells and the shaking of the rattles. So there's there's this whole musical aspect to it too that I think helps people relax and helps them be in the space and channel these forces and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
That must have been wild.
the sound of it does take up your attention with the tapping sticks and things like that. It does hold your focus on something that isn't the pain. The tapping really becomes a hypnotic thing. I've fallen asleep a few times getting hand tattoos,
Yeah.
including my throat, which I thought would be just horrendous. I found it almost impossible to keep my eyes open, and I think I did pass out for some of the end of the black filling part.
Yeah. I could see that being a thing.
I'm not trying to sound tough. I
sure.
genuinely thought it was going to destroy me, and I found it really not gentle, but hypnotic. Hypnotic
Yeah.
is the word.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good word for it. But like I meant, like if the natives are doing it here, like with drumming and like the tapping, that's gotta be, especially if it's a like a rite of passage ceremony or something, or like marking. So I assume a lot of tattoos have to do with like battle or something like that, or achievement.
In New Zealand, it can
Is
have
that what I'm thinking?
so many meanings. Who your grandfather was, how many children you have, which mountain and river you live near. It's easy to assume battle.
I think I'm thinking of the Dothraki in Game of Thrones, maybe. I might be getting my worlds confused.
Fiction and nonfiction.
That's their braids, I think, though.
Anyway, yeah, that's true, I think.
Yeah.
But social status and family prowess, and also like tattooing was expensive. Places like Borneo, my friends have explained, like if you're gonna have a tattoo, you're gonna have it because you have the money to go to the tattooist's abode, whatever form that was, go there, take your family on the journey to where that artist lives, pay for that artist's family and your family to eat the whole time that you're both there all together.
Yeah.
And then pay for him to tattoo your daughters or yourself or your son who is doing something in battle and things like that. And it was extremely expensive, so it was shown as a sign of wealth if you had marriage, like children that you could show had already been through their tattooing rites before they were of the age to get married. You're like loaded if you had a family that was tattooed and had survived the process, because getting tattooed in the jungle without getting deadly infections is hard now.
Sure. Yeah.
I've had infected tattoos because I've been in humid areas with just the best efforts not working to keep them clean, and the risk is absolutely there, but imagine the status of a person who had survived so much and had so much to show for it, and everybody knew how much it had cost them or their family. It's such a statement.
And it's just your ability to endure pain in a way too.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage for young women to finish their set of tattoos by 8 or 16. Or start at 8 and finish by 16.
Was it Borneo?
In some places.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can't make blanket statements about where and who and
Yeah.
exactly the ages, but
I know there's the tribe or nation here that the women have it on their chins. I can't remember which one it was.
It's a lot of surprising number in North America.
Yeah.
Inuit is a big one.
Was it Inuit? Yeah, for sure. There's a
and New Zealand.
Marika Sela, I think her name. She's like I think Inuk is her tribe. She's like always on Instagram talking about Inuit culture. She's got them. Saw another girl got one across her face. It was all tapped in too.
Tapped in.
Yeah. Or, I think poked or tapped. But
Yeah, it depends which area, part of the world.
yeah, it's interesting.
One of them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you guys think it's obviously like we see tattooing in a shop, a location. Do you think it's
Cat.
or
Oh wow.
That scared the shit out of me.
Simone.
Funny.
do you think tattooing is is it a public ceremony? Is it a private ceremony? Or is there kind of iterations of it where it occurs in both?
Yeah, both. Depends on the place, depends on the time. Even, I mean, sometimes it even depends on the tattoo. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times, you're right, it is very public in some cases. Like we were saying earlier, like these performances that go along with it, people performing dances and chants and feasts and all this stuff, and then, in other instances, like some of the taboos involved in, health and spiritual concerns dictate that you remove yourself entirely from the group, and it just be like the tattooist and the recipient in this space together, just to cut down cross-contamination, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you have you ever seen sign of it being used in a way to call somebody out as being a thief or a murderer or something like that?
We only
Like
see that in
branding.
Western stuff mostly. The Romans and the Japanese.
Yeah, Western and empires, right?
Empires, that's what it would be. Yep.
So so there's this funny thing in the history of tattooing where
Cross your arm a little more? Yeah,
empires
that's good.
seem to really dislike tattoos, and I think that the way that works historically, right, is that tattoos become such a part of embedded culture for like local groups. It's a part of your tribe, it's a part of the village you grew up in, it's a part of your belief system. Well, then when these empires come in, whether it's Western colonial empires, the Han Chinese, or the Inca, or the Greece and Rome, what they want to do is suppress those local traditions and force everybody into the state belief system and the state tax system and being in the man's army and all of these things. And so they tamp down on those local traditions, and not just tattooing, right? Like
Language.
Spoken language and forms of dress, and the Chinese and Japanese and Greece and Rome, and in some cases even in Persia, and Western nations then all sort of appropriated tattooing as punishment, right? So they turned this thing that was, in its indigenous setting was a very positive and communal thing and took it and turned it into, this is how we mark criminals, this is how we mark the property of the empire, this sort of deal. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he's got the Roman army tattoo in Gladiator
Yeah.
on his arm, which marked him as a soldier or whatever.
Well, but as a soldier, but
He was
but
high-ranking.
more, less positive than that, right? So like, today we think about like, oh, you get the Marine Corps insignia tattooed on you, it means you belong to the Corps, and it's something to be proud of. Well, in Rome,
It's like his caste.
yes, kind of,
Yeah.
right? It marked you as being literal property of the Roman Empire. So
Oh.
the people getting tattooed were
The branding stamp.
slaves and really skilled artisans who are going to spend their lives working in service to the Senate and the people. And so when you get that SPQR, like that's literally saying you belong to the Senate and the people of Rome.
Right. I just saw that. It's Standardus Populus Romanus or something like that, right?
You
Something.
got me.
The Latin. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I could see that being a tool of the Spanish and the Portuguese showing up in South America, being like, no more tattoos. Because you're trying to change their worldview to fit yours to make good
Yeah.
There
trading
weren't.
partners.
I mean, like the ones we observed had already been canceled out before contact.
Yeah.
Oh,
we think
wow.
that the
Okay.
things that we're seeing on the coast, we think were actually mostly extinct by the time the Spanish showed up. Probably as a result of Inca colonial.
So even like an Incan indigenous empire there.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have any evidence yet for Inca tattooing. We have it for groups that we know the Inca conquered.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just a population control tool.
Right, stop speaking your language, stop believing in your God, stop tattooing your bodies.
Interesting.
Complete capitulation.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Interesting is a nice word for it.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Yeah, atrocious.
Yeah.
But also interesting, for sure. In this case, anyway.
Some of like the bioarc down there too, with all the captives and the like amongst the Inca or the Mapuche and all that stuff was pretty crazy too. But that's a different podcast entirely. Yeah, I don't know. How'd we get onto this one? Oh, right.
Tattoos as
Tattoo-
markings
as
of
markings.
punishment.
Are there other things like that? Like, rite of passage or marking as punishment, or are there other things? I guess the medicinal purposes, right?
Family status and
Footsies.
Well, if
Family
you
sex.
believe that, David,
Yeah.
then yes, they are medicinal tattoos. Yeah. No, they're
careful.
Oh, is that not the? I'll let you go.
No, you're fine. So like there are definitely groups who use them to, for therapeutic and medicinal reasons. Although, it was recently pointed out to me that, like when we sit here and talk about the reasons why people are doing this in indigenous cultures, we're doing it as outsiders, right?
Yeah.
And so, we would look at that and be like, oh, you're trying to, stop headaches by tattooing, but to the people that were doing it, it could be much, much more complicated. It could be that the insertion of that particular pigment at that particular place on the body kept the spirits of the deceased animals from, invading, kind of thing. So
Okay.
on one hand, it's therapeutic, but on the other hand, it's connected to these much bigger cultural spheres. And yeah, the thing with Ötzi, right? So for decades, I mean, since he has been found, there's been this idea that his tattoos line up with points on his body where he suffered from injuries. But this most recent paper that we wrote, Danny, you're on that paper, yeah?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this most recent paper that we wrote about how Ötzi was tattooed, one of the things we did
Oh,
was
how? Yeah,
actually
then yeah.
lay out the locations of all of his tattoos and the locations of all of his recorded ailments. And some of them line up, but some or most of them don't. And, so it's not that simple.
They thought it was like to do with arthritis or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there are locations on his body that are tattooed where he doesn't suffer from anything.
Uh-huh.
And then there are places where he suffered from arthritis or, whiplash or whatever that aren't tattooed.
Yeah.
And so it's not a clear one-to-one.
So he just might have just had tats because he liked him.
Well, or
Or
because you know they mark
purposes.
something that we don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that a big reason why people haven't considered Ötzi's tattoos to be significant in terms of like symbolism is because they appear to be so simple to us.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at like the mummies from the Altai, and they have those fantastic, backward griffin horses and tigers, and you can look at those and they're aesthetic and they're pleasing, and you're like, yeah, that means something, man, right?
And they
Like,
match
that's
the
cool.
artifacts that we find. That
Yeah,
style
they match
has
the
a
artifacts.
name. Yeah.
And then you look at Ötzi and it's like lines.
Yeah.
Okay, what the hell does that mean? But who are we 5,000 years later to be like, that means nothing?
Sure. Huh. Did not know that. Okay. Gotta read that paper. I'll put that right here. Cool. That cat really threw me off. I'm trying to think of more questions. I thought it was a bird, and then I saw the tail. I was like, oh, it's a cat. Okay.
Alright, so being the just being a fan of tattoo artists, how do you think it started? Do you think it was in a healing fashion where they put some sort of medicinal thing on a cut and it came back and it stayed permanently there?
Who knows, right? I mean, I feel like, Danny, that's the story, right? That every apprentice gets told, right? Is it's some guy around a campfire who got cut accidentally, and
I wish every apprentice had that story.
what's that?
I wish
Oh,
every
yeah.
apprentice got that story.
I mean, I feel like
I had
that's
it.
the thing I've always had, right?
Yeah.
So like, some dude working on a spear or a knife around the campfire, cut himself and then got the charcoal, and it was like, woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, that seems likely because if you've napped flint and handled charcoal, you've gotten small cuts, and then being an observant creature, as we are, we observe that the time that you accidentally got carbon in the cuts that you had, it stuck around. It's not a great leap to intentionally do that, and it's not a great leap to turn a couple intentional forays into what that looks like into a design that is zigzags. And then imagine showing up for your annual salmon run and you and all your family have zigzags everywhere and everyone else doesn't.
Or
Yeah.
you've got the sacred symbols,
Yeah.
just temporarily on you.
Ooh,
or
yeah.
Just like woven into your headdresses, but actually permanently marked on your body.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah.
No, but that's one of those big questions, right? Is it like, is this something that is so deeply rooted in like the human condition that it goes back to like Africa and
Yeah.
then travels out of Africa, like the ability to make fire or make stone tools travels out with all human cultures that leave Africa? Or is it something that like everybody in the world invented on their own in a
I was gonna
different
say,
place
it's
at a
pretty
different time?
fascinating that you have all these different cultures over this long period of time that at some point seem to have some sort of
They had a need to do it.
tattooing or
Yeah.
body scarring or some sort of that.
Right.
If I turn really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about that in terms of like technology,
Should still be
like
going.
everybody has a need to make bowls, ceramic
Yeah.
bowls, or everybody
Still
has
recording.
a need to make
Mhm.
spear points.
Yep.
And you're like, well, that makes total sense. But everybody needs to wear clothing. Great, everybody needs to wear clothing. But clearly tattooing falls into that, as being that important to people in the past that everybody came up with it.
I think everybody too. Like, to make a claim that there were countries or continents of people who were not practicing tattooing would probably be incorrect on a
Yeah.
global. If you go back in time on a global scale,
That there were not cultures.
that there were not, like that there were people not tattooing, definitely not here and here and here.
I can
The
see
one,
that.
the one exception maybe being Australia.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
Aboriginal doesn't have a.
Never
Not that
that's
we've
been
ever seen.
documented.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is good because I mean, they have the same descendants from like the Maori and stuff like that.
Not
Or
as
no?
closely as you'd think. No.
No?
They're really
Yep.
really early migrations.
Yep.
But, they do piercing, there's scarification.
Okay.
There's other forms of body modification. It's just tattooing just doesn't seem to be one of them.
Yep.
They're barely flint map too, which is interesting.
Well, it is Australia. Everything there wants to kill you. So.
No time for it.
Is there good flint in Australia?
I met a guy that discovered a flint quarry that had been undiscovered. He had taken a wrong turn hiking or something like that, and found a cliff wall and followed it to a place where he'd found chunks of flint that had been taken out of the hillside and worked, and remembered where it was. So when he got back to civilization, he told the local tribunal council about it. They sent people out with an archaeologist to check it out and confirmed it was really, really old. Super cool. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know how common the stone is in Australia though.
I just know from like lithic stuff, there's like not a very defined like typology for different parts of Australia or anything. They just use like basic stone tools. I could be way off with that. I'll double check, but I think it's kind of just they had a natural environment to do a lot of the stuff with organic material anyway.
Yeah.
World's oldest nose bone is from Australia.
Nose bone?
Yeah,
Like-
nose bone.
Oh, here's
Yeah,
oh,
kangaroo bone.
that's cool. Oh, that is really cool.
So big. That's so scary. Even the small ones hurt.
Was it the baculum?
I
Do
don't
kangaroos
remember.
have baculums?
I don't know. I'd imagine. Maybe.
Are you really imagining it?
No. I can't remember. that's the thing.
Got him.
I have the concept of a kangaroo baculum in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry for you then.
We got you. I don't know. Maybe they do. I'm not gonna Google it.
Nope. But somebody will.
So I got a question. So if like, obviously like CRM, cultural resource management is huge in the U.S. and we find a lot of stuff, how would you think we'll be able to find tools in that sort of context? You know, that are related to tattooing, or what would you suggest to someone who's in that field?
Yeah, I mean, it's the goal, right? That's
Yeah.
the goal. And that's like the whole thing that put me down the rabbit hole to begin with was this question of, you know, we know people are doing the behavior, but where are the tools? And why aren't we finding them? And I mean, you know, there's always the possibility that they're using things that are biodegradable, right? You know, cactus spines or thorns or things like that. But then, you know, like the tools that we found here from Tennessee, you know, they're turkey bones, they're sharpened turkey bones. So they could be tattooing tools, but, you know, there's also a bajillion of them at all these different sites, and, you know, why weren't they used for hide working or these other things? I think that the tools have been found, they just haven't been identified. You know, because we tend to pick up the thing and we're like, oh, this isn't all. And so everybody who ever looks at that sees hide working. You know, whereas
Yeah.
if the right person looks at it with the right microscope, you can tell the difference between, you know, that depth of wear pattern and what materials it was used on.
Yeah, it just seems like one big category is all I mean,
Sharp things.
It's all
Yeah.
encompassing.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just everything's classified as a perforator or something. You
Yeah.
need to do more inks, like residue studies on the bottom. Yeah.
And you know, Oceania is different because you have those traditions of the bone combs and the shell combs, and so, you know, you find that archaeologically, and it stands out as being something that, you know, you can connect to historical practices, and so you have that visual and sort of technological connection. But yeah, a lot of the rest of the world, man.
When he says bone combs, he means also the wide combed tattooing needles.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
he's talking about.
Come on, Danny. You mean the world just doesn't know when you say bone combs what you're talking about?
I think of tattooing tools before I think of hair combs, because I haven't combed my hair in many years.
Yeah, why the dreadlocks?
I got them on a whim when I was in Bangkok when I was 18, and
That
just
sounds
decided to
about
live with it.
That's the best dreadlock story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
To be honest. Cool.
Yeah, I am not a Rastafarian. I don't belong to that religious sect. I don't smoke weed despite the way I look. I just stick with my decisions, and this was one of them. I might get tired of it at some point, shave it all off, but
Respect.
you know, it's already been. I've had them as long as I've not had them. Well, you know, it's because time keeps going by.
Yeah. The imperial like nixing on tattooing is pretty cool. I never thought about that. I'll have to look more into that. Trying to think of more. How's it looking, by the way? I can't see.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, dumb question.
I think I'm gonna break.
You're gonna have to blast over.
I hate my work.
Yeah, I'm gonna break out the cheese grater and start over on the other arm. How visceral was that?
I'm just amazed at, I'm a big boy, but like how little this doesn't hurt. Or what am I trying to say?
Yeah,
I'm
how
still
little it
badass.
hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part, right? Where are we at now?
This is softer,
Okay.
and it doesn't see as much sunlight. Sunlight toughens up skin more than these
Okay.
soft little underbelly areas.
That makes sense.
But
Start tanning before I get my next tattoo.
yeah, I don't think it'll help enough.
Okay.
It's still gonna hurt. Tattoos hurt. That's another thing about tattoos is that they hurt. Right? That's an interesting thing on its own as well. Like,
It's half of why I like it.
me too. I don't use numbing cream for my clients. I've never have tested it myself. I don't offer it to clients, and with one exception, I have not tattooed people who have used numbing cream because I like the idea that tattoos hurt. Because it's one of the last things you have to earn. You know, you can have everything handed to you on a silver platter these days. You can buy your way into anything you want, and everything comes easy, except the patience and endurance it takes to receive a tattoo. It's not easy, and I don't think it should get easier.
So I was going to say, Danny, I bet I know what your answer is then. But have you heard about this work with printable micro needles to apply tattoos?
No.
Some folks, there has been some development of, you basically like 3D print a set of micro needles that has the design embedded in it, and that is pre-inked, and so you basically just like slap it on the skin kind of thing.
It sounds like it would work very poorly, but maybe I'm...
Well, and then there's been some work with that same idea, but then to have them programmable,
Yeah.
so that the design can actually change based on the what has been put in your skin. You can reprogram your tattoo.
Right. It's things like this they're awesome innovations for me, because when people get tired of having soulless tattoos, my special niche is going to be really in high demand, and I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you might as well just put needles on a chair and go back to like medieval torture. Right? You just get it that way. You just change them up.
I want a bodysuit. What's that? Like, it's like an iron lung. What is that torture device thing where you get an Iron Maiden? That's what it is.
What a way to go.
Pre-print your Iron Maiden torture device tattoo bodysuit.
I mean, there are historically there are tattoo stamps.
Yeah.
Like that's
that's one I haven't tested.
Yeah.
You want to test that? We can try it.
There's that amazing description of like itinerant tattooists outside the floating cities in China. Like outside the cities where all the vice is happening and everything, and they're selling flash, but they're selling like pre-made stamps. And so you like walk up and point to the stamp you want, and they would take the stamp, rub ink on it, slap it on your arm.
Wow.
Congratulations, you have a tattoo.
That's amazing.
I've never heard of that.
Woodblock prints that have tattoo stencils, so that you have your stencil pre-made on a carved wooden print that you stick the stencil on, and then tattoo through it with other tools, have been used in Borneo and stuff as well.
Wasn't it you that we discussed the preservation of tattoos? There's companies or there's places that are trying to do that now.
Yeah, there's still some companies that'll harvest your tattoos after death. And,
Wow.
I find that very fascinating.
Mount them and give them to your descendants.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's kind of cool. Aaron, I still intend to be mummified,
Okay.
so that we can really test the taphonomic results of mummification on tattoos that we've monitored beforehand.
Bury you in a glacier for 5,000 years.
I'm buying land. I'm gonna dig a tomb. I'm not gonna tell anyone where it is, because we need time for me to be mummified, and if people know where to find me, they might come dig me up too early.
You heard it here first, folks.
Just find a really dark, deep place and let's go.
Yeah.
Curl up in there.
Yeah. With a little "Do Not Disturb Until" sign.
Like a time capsule.
Yeah, just a little lock and key that only a
Experiment.
tattoo archaeologist can find the secret key.
Progress.
Yeah. I'm so excited to die. It's gonna be awesome.
I feel like those stamps just like cut out the whole experience of tattooing. 'Cause it's like you gotta sit down with like 2 hours, talk with your tattoo artist. There's like it's an interesting cultural space that
Yeah.
we've created and has been created in the past too.
It means
Humanity out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it's a really like intimate thing. Like you sit with somebody who's like, you're not a doctor, but you're not a therapist.
oh, I'm totally a therapist.
But like it's a form of therapy to me. So it's like, but you're trusting somebody with like sharp objects going in and out of your body, and like I don't know. It's like
One of the things it does is it forces you to trust a person who is usually a stranger. Intimately trust a stranger is something uncomfortable that is a healthy thing to try sometimes in your life. And it forces you to, as an adult, if you live a comfortable life that has no pain in it, see what you can. We all are curious about what we can survive. You know, if you watch one of those like outdoor survival shows, you wonder how long you could last. It's a bit like that. That question nags at a lot of people in comfortable lives, and when you get through it, it's cool to see that, hey, whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger, or I'm tougher than I thought, or it answers. You learn a lot about yourself on a tattoo journey that you won't learn if you under general anesthesia or. Oh my God, that's totally a thing I've heard. I refuse to give it any more engagement than that, but.
Celebrities are getting it. That's
Yep.
over. That's,
anesthesia to get tattoos.
Yep, general anesthesia to get
Yeah,
tattoos.
there's no point.
Yeah,
And anesthesia can just go wrong sometimes too.
it has recently somebody died
Yeah.
for the tattoo. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
The anesthesiologists have some of the highest malpractice insurance out there. 'Cause
Yeah.
When it goes south, they can.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much for them to be able to give you too much gas.
Mm.
Just out.
Permanent.
Yeah. So I would really love the industry to slow down and step back a little bit. Since I know that it won't, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing in my quiet little corner of the world. And people who get tired of the fast pace of it can come find me. I think that's what some great artists that I really look up to have been doing, already for 20, 30 years. They're less and less conspicuous, and they just do good things for the people who know where to find them.
Yeah. How long you been doing this now?
I think about 10 years.
Okay.
10 years, maybe including my apprenticeship. Sounds about right. I was a child care worker and an arborist before.
Two different things for sure.
Yeah.
How were you able to travel for as long as you did? I mean, you said you started at 18?
I would save, work and save money. I didn't drink. I didn't have expensive hobbies, and I never smoked. I eat simple food, and I didn't mind bad accommodation. Beg, borrow, and steal. I was advised to beg, borrow, and steal. I don't think I ever did any of those, but I hitchhiked and couch surfed and camped. I don't know. Whatever I had to do. I think my first trip in 2005 or 2006 through Southeast Asia, I was gone 7 months. 6 months. I had $700. That's how much it cost, and I ran out of money and had to come home.
Wow. Where was that?
I did Myanmar, like right out of high school. My best friend was Burmese, and so he went back to visit his grandparents, asked me if I wanted to join him. But Burma was still under, Myanmar was still under military control, or whatever the right term for that is at the time. Martial law. Aung San Suu Kyi was still under house arrest. But the people were wonderful. We didn't see other foreigners or visitors while we were there, but with my buddy, we saw a lot of the country in a state that when it was closed, and the people were just wonderful. Made it hard to stop after that. I did Laos and Thailand and that trip, and then that was all I did on that first one. I sat next to somebody on the plane just coming up here. She said she had been to the same number of countries as her age. I thought that was a noble goal, and I think I'm right about on track too. But I hadn't thought about it. It's a pretty good flex, I think, on her part anyway.
37? No?
Yeah,
30?
yeah.
What's your favorite place you've been?
That's such a hard question.
Yeah.
For people who have never traveled, who would like to see something incredible, and meet really lovely people and eat great food and see some history, art, food, music, and culture, it would be Mexico.
Okay.
I never went to any of the border towns with the U.S. I didn't engage in any shifty activities or be in areas where foreigners get robbed, preyed upon, things like that. I only went to, I don't know, the heartland of Mexico, and I never met, of the months and months and months I've spent wandering around Mexico off the edge of the map, I never met a single person I didn't totally like. Everyone was awesome all the time. And the food was top-notch. Pyramids, museums, Frida Kahlo's house. Yeah, incredible country.
Yeah.
New Zealand has, a lot of just incredible beauty and really sweet, gentle people too. It's hard. It's a hard question.
I'm sorry, when you stayed in New Zealand, which island did you stay on?
The North Island.
North Island?
There's only like 8 people on the South Island.
Is it really that inhabited down there?
No,
I've heard it's
but-
like very
Yeah.
uninhabited.
You could look it up. Probably, I would say like 3/5, 2/3 are on the North Island.
Yeah.
We wanted to move to the South Island, but I wouldn't have had a very successful tattooing career without being in a larger urban area down there, and I didn't want to do that.
Always had this idea. I used to ski in my younger days, and New Zealand's kind of like one of those places I always dream about being able to go ski during the summer.
South Island, then.
South Island.
Yeah. Well, you can ski in the summer parts of like Pacific Northwest where I grew up. I mean, there's still snow on some mountains all through the year, you know. Mount Baker and Mount Rainier and stuff. You don't have to go quite as far. But I mean, if you mean switching seasons to arrive, skipping winter here and arriving for summer down there or something too. Yeah, there you go. There's a lot to see in the world.
Yep.
It's an addiction once you start though, so be ready for it.
Into the UK, Italy, Mexico, Israel, and where else did I go? Canada, obviously. But
Yeah, does Canada
nowhere,
really count?
nowhere fancy.
Canada counts. Canada's way cool.
I grew up in Detroit, so it's like
You're right
Canada
there.
was like winter is kind of like I don't know what's the best way you can call that. Probably like Murfreesboro.
I did Vancouver. That was really nice.
Beautiful city.
Toronto, I've been to. I just did Rome and Italy. Only London.
Ah,
and
cool.
UK.
I haven't been to Italy. I went to Wales just for fun before I went to the French Caribbean last week.
Oh, that's right. You were in Martinique, right?
Yeah,
How was that?
fantastic.
What were you doing there?
My wife's father grew up there. I was visiting with her and her siblings. We were visiting family and people I had met once, or visiting the area her father grew up and things like that. What a beautiful place, though.
Yeah.
I was talking to Aaron last week. He told me you were down there, and like that earlier that day. I heard that there was like a earthquake. I think somewhere around. Well, it was in the Gulf, but I know there was a lot of tsunami warnings out there, and I was wondering if.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I hope everybody's okay. Was it you, David, was asked one time, what was it? Tea break time travel, maybe? Were you on that one? Sometimes somebody asked you if you could visit, time travel back to visit something. You had said you would check out Israel at the height of the Roman Empire, Jerusalem at the height of the Roman Empire. That was you, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know what it would have been then. I guess it was just Rome, but yeah, just to see
It
like
must have been fascinating.
like all the trade items and like the languages and stuff that were going through there, and then like there was a show going on. I guess it when Jesus was getting crucified. If you wanted to see that, but like
It would have been a spectacular place to have visited at the peak of its
yeah
power then.
absolutely. And I was saying this on another podcast the other day too. Like if you were some like guy named like Jim Mungbean in London in 1450, like, or I guess let's say 1492. The craziest place you could have gone to, I assume, was Mexico City or Japan. Like it just would have been a different planet to you.
Japan still feels like a different planet
I
if you
mean,
go there now.
That's why I say it,
Yeah.
because I've heard from some other people that it's like it's just a different.
It's
world.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
I
that.
recommend that really highly too if you can make it to Japan.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful people too.
Do you find it hard to communicate? It's like, I mean, I imagine you don't speak Japanese.
No, I don't speak Japanese. And when I was there, it was like 2008, and I didn't have a phone or internet or there was no Google
Right on.
Translate. You know,
I used that quite a bit when I was in Paris last time.
I use hand gestures and a lot of just how you'd communicate to a stranger who doesn't speak the language you speak, with no technology. It was great. That's what made it fun. People were patient and curious and sweet.
That's good.
Yeah,
I assume very polite in Japan.
extremely polite.
Yeah.
I got my first visible tattoo in Japan, and I noticed a strong difference in how I was perceived. The first visible tattoo I got,
That's
it,
kind of taboo over there, right?
it's taboo. The long history of why tattoos are taboo is super interesting. Maybe we can talk about it another time. It's sort of a long story.
Yeah, sure.
And the reason they're taboo is interesting, but the tattoo I got, it literally says in Japanese that I have a wish that peace would prevail on Earth. And I assumed that, like, of all tattoos, if anything was going to not cause panic, it'd be that, you know. But people were still really wary until I would, like, put it in front of them, and they would read it, and they'd be like, oh, okay.
But they would think it was something bad.
No,
Or wrong.
but tattoos are anti-imperial statement in Japan. It's not just that we oversimplify it in our understanding. We think that it just means gangsters have tattoos. Gangsters are dangerous.
That was my understanding, that it was like a Yakuza thing.
The Yakuza are the name we use now for organized crime. Organized crime is an anti-imperial act, and the history of why they chose to use tattoos as a statement against the empire is what is really interesting in that story. But I was told that story by a tattoo artist. There might be historical inaccuracies, but it all made a lot of sense to me when I heard it.
Yeah.
But being very law-abiding by nature, most Japanese people are made socially to fear people with tattoos who are usually not as law-abiding in that country.
Gotcha.
There's so many careful umbrella, overarching statements in that statement, but yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be a guest who is upsetting people.
Right.
So I'm going to do the outline of this little poem, then I'm going to clean it all up and work on. You could have a stretch at that point too if you'd like
Sweet.
to.
Yeah. Could use that.
Compose your thoughts.
Yeah, that too. We have a friend that lives in like not rural Mexico, but just like deep in
Mm-hmm. Doing
like
like this a little
outside
bit.
Mexico City, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And like loves it. He's a photographer and just
Oh
takes pictures.
wow, yeah.
Like it's just such a weird, like, interesting blend of like indigenous culture, but like Catholic Mediterranean culture at the same time.
Mm.
But then it's just uniquely Mexican at the same time,
Yeah.
from what I understood when I was there. Very cool. I've still never been to Mexico City. I'd like to do that.
It's wonderful. Like, just as a city trip, just if you saw no other parts of Mexico than just Mexico City, as a city itself, it's really,
So I've heard.
it's great. The museums are fantastic. You know, you can go to the university district, and there's great restaurants and nightlife and stuff too. The food was exceptional. Just outside the city, you have, you know, historical sites and pyramids and Teotihuacan and things like that. I never felt at risk or in danger while I was there. It was,
Yeah.
beautiful place.
Cool.
And I'm not even a city person, and I would speak highly of it.
When you travel, do you do a lot of solo travel, or do you travel with groups?
I would usually travel with one person at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes with my friend. I met my wife backpacking, so we traveled together, just the two of us, for a long time. But before that, it was usually just one or two friends at a time. I never had, like, what are those? The Lonely Planet books or guidebooks, or I never did any research. When I arrived in Japan the first time, I didn't know where I was going to stay that night, and I forgot that usually airports are not in the city that it says, you know? And I arrived with no destination in mind. I just was there to see Tokyo and then make my way down to climb Mount Fuji. And I was by myself with no phone, no internet, no address, no hotel. Arrived in the afternoon and went up to the information desk, and I was like, "Hello, hi, where would you like to go?" "Oh, I don't know." "Okay, how can I help you?" "Well, what's cool to see? What are you looking for? Something old? Would you like to go to Old Tokyo?" "Okay."
It sounds
"Okay, train number 3, thanks," you know. I got off the train, I was like, "Do I want to go right or left?" "I'll go right," you know, and that's how it went. That was such a fun way to travel before planning. Now I travel, you know, with my kids, and we have to plan, we have to be,
Right.
we have to know where we're going to stay, we have to do more preparation, and, you know, if the plans,
It's one thing when you
Change
just
is-
care and worry about yourself. It's
Yeah.
another thing when you have a family. You
Yep.
gotta worry about
yeah, both of my kids have now circumnavigated the globe completely, from like New Zealand around Hawaii, United States, Europe,
Cool.
and back across the Middle East, Australia, back to New Zealand.
it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How old are they?
The younger one's 4, about to turn 5. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the older one's 9 now. Okay, I'm gonna clean you up, and you can have a little.
Cool. What are you getting?
He's gonna do Tiger.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. That's all that.
Yeah. Cool, man. For me, I'm not in a rush. If you need to like pause and think about, you know, other questions or use a bathroom, have a coffee, whatever you want to do, it's fine.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the bathroom, I think, but or maybe not. I don't know.
This is the only thing I've got to, you know, do today, and we're halfway or more. Halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, have a little pause
Cool.
and figure your next move.
Sounds good to me.
At a certain point, I ran out of room on the card, and I just said, fuck it, we'll just continue doing the podcast audio-wise, and I only had 2 more questions left for Danny. Anyway, I asked those questions here. So what I'm going to do now is over top where there's no video, I'm going to put the rest of the video that's taken on my phone of the tattoo actually getting filled in and all the cool parts you want to see, where my skin gets cut with stone tools and all that. So first off, it was a deer bone that was used. It was sharpened to do most of the thick work here. And then the flint that was used was napped by Danny. It is also found, it's French flint from right outside all the, you know, the caves of the cave art in France. So again, one of the coolest experiences of my life. This was a tattoo memorial for my dog. I was gonna put his ashes in it, but I forgot to bring the ashes, and I also have a lot of health issues and was like, probably best not to rub dead dog dirt into my arm. But he said that, you know, kind of in a shamanistic way, do you want to say some words for Strider? as he was, tattooing this into my arm. And I've said this on multiple podcasts. As I got tattooed by this, you could kind of hear like in your head as it was popping my skin. To some people that might be disgusting. To me, that was really cool. Because as we talk about in the show, if you had that going on while there's like rhythmic chanting and things like that, and like, the village is watching, it would have been a very spiritual experience. I would say this was. And again, one other thing. Thank you for watching. Here's the rest of that.
I guess, yeah, while the audio is still going and while it's in my head, so it doesn't go too long after there's no video. My last questions for you are going to be like, what do tattoos mean to you? I don't know if we asked that yet.
I think you asked what
did?
art means.
What art means, but yeah, so tattoos, what would tattoos mean to you?
So I try to sum up how I envision and how I perceive tattoos, and I've spent years trying to figure out the right words for it. I think I've finally gotten a better way to explain it to people. Tattoos are not external images that you wear, like you wear a T-shirt that has an image on it. That's not what it is. The best way I can explain it, have you ever seen? It's the same material as like a lottery scratch ticket, but it's for kids. They have like a page that has a black film on it, but underneath is like a rainbow paper or a picture or something like that, and they scrape away the opaque black film in a way that reveals what's underneath. So it's sort of reverse from drawing with a black pen on white paper. And the way I see tattoos is that all adults already have a bodysuit of tattoos. You're wearing it because the tattoos are not external images that you choose to put on. They're windows that I'm etching away through the opaque layer of your skin. I'm only letting people look into the person that I'm tattooing, right? Like, you have had this tattoo already. Today, other people will be able to see it.
Okay. Yeah, that goes hard. Cool.
Right, they're little windows into who you are. When you're brave enough to show the world a bit of who you are, then you get more windows.
So it's like a part of me that I'm like putting outside that, and
Yeah.
like you're helping like peel away.
Yeah, I'm removing the exterior opaque layer to show the world a little bit of who you are. Now that you're ready to show the world.
Yeah, I like
That's
that
the
idea.
best way I can explain how I understand it. So they really mean everything. Silly tattoos too. I have a silly tattoo. I don't have many, but I have one. I have a silly side.
Right. Everything else.
Ignorant tattoos show a little window into an ignorant life choice, maybe,
Yeah.
or a lack of the desire to care about what people might think or perceive of you, which is also a statement in and of itself. Yeah. I mean, if I was tattooing like an infinity sign and like a feather turning into the silhouettes of doves, it still is a window. It's a very common one that we see over and over again. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad about a choice they've made. That shows that you are participating in an image that you saw and liked, and you were courageous enough to also get it if you had seen other people wearing it and it made you happy, and you felt that's how you wanted to express yourself as well. It's a tool of expression. What's Matt Lauder's phrase, Aaron? Tattoos are not a...
Tattooing is a medium, not a phenomenon.
I love that one too. I think about that one pretty often as well.
Could you elaborate on that one?
You
Well,
want
I
to?
think,
For
so
the-
Matt studies historical Western tattooing, and has worked a lot over the years to sort of debunk these modern Western ideas as to tattooing being something that's unusual, right? And so he feels like over the course of the last century or two, tattooing tends to get presented in the media and in the public as being some kind of phenomenon. Right, that it's something that hasn't existed before, but is this new thing that people are doing, and isn't it kind of cool?
It's
and
radical.
weird and trendy and whatever. And so, as an art historian, he sort of, presents this as like it's not a phenomenon; it's a medium.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a medium of expression.
Yeah, inherently no different than ceramics or weaving or
Gotcha.
painting.
it's it's a medium through which we are mediating culture.
It's an art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'd never heard that one. I like that.
I like that a lot of people will have completely different answers to that question too. What do tattoos mean to them? It's a good question, and only because I've sort of been unable in the past to explain how I perceive it, and have finally found better words to explain it, can I answer it. But if you'd asked a few years ago before I had formulated my thoughts more clearly, I wouldn't have had a clue of how to answer that question.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, self-expression to me, I never really thought about it until I asked you. But I made that post last year about that one tattoo, but yeah, like self-expression, you're showing something like vulnerability. Yeah. Like
Or strength.
Or strength too. Like the handprints stuff to me is something I like. I like archaeology, so like shows that. I like the mammoth kill because it's like, so it's just stuff I'm interested in. But then
Sure.
The Boromir one was like, we all have flaws. So in that sense, but like an anchor that says mom, or like, was it the swallow that you get when you cross the Atlantic?
And back, yeah, you get
that
both, yeah, traditionally.
That's just like more of like a tradition thing, but it's still expression in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows, it's a window showing an aspect of you that is part of a culture or society that participates in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not always individualistic.
And then the last question I had for you, this might be a big one, I guess, but like, what's it mean to be human to you? And you can pause and think.
I don't think of myself as really human. I don't. I think of myself in a lot of ways as an animal that is pretending really hard to be human, so the humans don't notice that I'm not supposed to be in their society.
Gotcha.
It's a weird way to describe it.
Like you're an animal, but you're stuck in like a human society.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
The more technology advances, the more uncomfortable I become. I don't like the idea of having a phone that tracks my movements and my heart rate and my things like that. That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So I think there is an older side to our species that I associate with much more than I associate with the society and the time period I was born into. And I just hope the humans don't find out that I don't belong. Don't tell anyone.
The more unique answer I've had to that one. Cool.
Who's bipedal and has two opposable thumbs? This guy.
Yeah, well, cool, man.